little bit of a technical issues. Okay. Having a situation. Go live. YouTube. So we're having a little bit of an issue with the mic on YouTube. All right, there we go. We're all good to go. All right, guys. So we are streaming right now live on YouTube as well as on TikTok as well. We had a little bit of a mic issue. All right. So today we're running a little bit late. We're going to try to keep this under 30 minutes and be done with this live by 8 o'clock this evening. Earlier today, I went ahead and I selected a couple stocks from our stock screener as far as stocks that I was interested in trading. So let's go ahead and take a look at our watch list, which I created maybe about an hour and a half ago. So these are the stocks here that you can see on the far right-hand side that I actually had selected earlier from Finviz, which is our stock screener. And the first stock that we're going to be looking at is going to be stock symbol ENPH. Now, remember, when we're looking at these stocks, we're looking at stocks that we've done our technical analysis on. We've looked at our economic calendar, and these are stocks that we can potentially trade this week. It doesn't necessarily mean that we'll be able to trade the stocks tomorrow or the next day, but these stocks, based off of how they look, there's a good possibility that we can trade these stocks maybe tomorrow or in the next coming days if they hit a particular price point. Now, on this particular stock, we're going to be looking, let's start off on our daily time frame like we always do. And here, as you can see, the stock price, it actually closed earlier today at $32.57. Post-market, meaning they're still trading after the market closes, normally about an hour after the market closes at 4 o'clock. You can still trade. And you can have access to that if you sign up with your broker, depending on who you're with. I use E-Trade as well as Chase Bank trading. And E-Trade does give you the ability to trade after hours when the market closes, and also pre-market before the market opens up at 9:30 as well. So this particular stock, it showed up on our list because not only am I doing regular trading, which is trading when the stock price is going to go up, but like I said, with everything's going on now, I had to go ahead and mix up my portfolio. I also do a little bit of options. So rather than do your standard short where you're trying to make money when the stock is going down, I do option puts, which means I can make money when the stock market's going down or when the stock market's going up. I don't recommend option trading for brand new beginner traders. So these are lives that are public, but typically with my students, when I do one-on-one courses and teaching them, I don't normally recommend that they do options trading because it's a little bit more complicated. You can make a lot more money, but it's also very risky as well. So let's see here with this particular stock. For those of you who've been following me for a while, you know, and looking at it on a daily time chart, we can see clearly from our moving averages, which is the red line is on top and is pointing straight down. Green line's at the bottom, pointing straight down. That lets us know that we are in a downtrend. And as you can see, for the whole time that the red line is on top and the green line's at the bottom, the stock price is steadily moving downwards. And this is why I color code my moving averages. A lot of people don't color code them. They just keep them one and just like both of them in the same color. I typically color code them so it lets me know what direction the market's more than likely going. Now from here, I know that the market's going down, so I can put I can have a put option put in saying that I'm gonna be I don't like to use the word betting, but I'm going to be using the laws of probability that the stock price is going to continue going down. This is when we're looking at it on our daily time chart. Now, if you look right over here at the bottom in this purple area, this is our RSI. Like I've said before in some of my previous videos, and I say before to my students in the training courses, when you have the RSI, you see this red dotted line here. This is the 50 mark. So as long as this purple line stays underneath the 50, we know that the stock is going to continue going in a downtrend. And for as long as we are in a downtrend, you notice this purple line, it stays right below the 50 mark, which is the red dotted line. At times, it does go over just a little bit, but it kind of comes right back down underneath it. It doesn't stay above it. So that lets us know that we're in a downtrend. So here, I'm not going to put a put on this saying that the stock is going to continue going down because this purple line on our RSI right here is right below the 50, but it's also pointing up. That lets me know that there's still more room for correction, meaning there could be a little bit more of a pullback tomorrow where the stock kind of goes back up a little bit. And with that, the RSI is also going to go up. And when the RSI hits this 50 mark, which is this red dotted line, that's more than likely when the stock is going to probably start to come back down. So if I was to say I was to short the stock or put a put option saying that the stock price is going to go down, it's going to do a little bit of a pullback tomorrow, more than likely, and then it's going to come back down. So I don't like to be sitting in these stock trades for, 2, 3 weeks. If I can, I want to be in a trade for maybe 2 days, maybe a week max. So what I'm going to do is tomorrow, I'm going to keep an eye on this stock and I'm going to see what happens and wait for the RSI to go up and hit this 50 mark. And once it hits that 50 mark, I know because right now it's pointing upwards. So once it hits that 50 mark, and depending on where the price is, I'm going to put a put option, knowing that the stock price is going to come down. But there's no guarantee that it's going to go all the way up and hit the 50 on our RSI. So it could also start dropping from here and not do another pullback. So tomorrow I'm going to keep an eye on it. Now, you see this blue line over here. This blue line is an area of support, right? And the stock price, it broke below it here with this red line. It broke below that area of support. And typically when a stock price breaks below an area of support, it doesn't do a pullback and go above it. So it did go back above it on with this particular candlestick. So that lets me know that this is not a very strong point of resistance. So basically, when it breaks down to an area of support, that area of support typically turns into an area of resistance, meaning the stock price wouldn't go back above it. It typically would come right there in this area, right below it, but it wouldn't break above it like it did here. So let's see what's going on here with this one. So we're looking at on a daily time chart. Is there still more room for a pullback? And the only way we're going to know that is when we look at it on a lower time frame. So now let's look at it on a 4-hour time frame. Okay. Now, when we look at it on a 4-hour time frame, for anyone who's new to trading, that means each one of these candlesticks represents 4 hours. When we were looking at it on a daily time chart, each one of those candlesticks represented 1 day. So here we can see our RSI is really close to the 50. Is really close to that red dotted line on a 4-hour time chart. And the price is right below that area of support. All right. But yet we're still in the downwards trend because the red line's still at the top pointing straight down. Green line's still at the bottom pointing straight down. So here, when we go down to our 1-hour time frame, we can see on our 1-hour time frame, there's a little bit of a change here. So on our 1-hour time frame, we see that there's a crossover. So the lower time frames are showing that we may be going into an uptrend. So here we can see that the green line is crossed over, moving average is pointing up, red line's at the bottom, which lets us know we're in a potential uptrend when we go to our lower time frames, right? And over here with our RSI, we can see that it's above the 50, and it's been like that practically almost the whole day, really. Okay. So this is something that we need to pay attention to. And this is why we look at it on the lower time frames, because I'm going to switch back to our daily time frame. So on our daily time frame, you notice the stock price is coming down, right? But you notice it came all the way down here, and now you've seen that it's doing a pullback right here where it came down and then it started to go up. So here on our daily time frame, because remember, each one of these candlesticks represent a 1 day. So when we go down to our 1-hour time frame, meaning every one of these candlesticks represent 1 hour, it lets us know, what's happening on the shorter time frame. So if this persists and continues tomorrow and it opens up higher tomorrow, then that means this stock can possibly continue rising, because the next area of resistance, which is a red line, is all the way up here at price 42 at $42.99 and $43. That's the next area of resistance, which is this red line here. So right now we're at 32, but this stock over the next couple of days can probably go all the way up to 42, which will then change it on our daily time chart, right, which is right over here. And this price can start going up. If we look at the 42, what is it, 43? It was the 43. If we look at the price 43 on our daily time chart, that's up here. So that basically means this could be the actual bottom right here, and this stock could be rising. So we've already looked at it on our daily. So let's look at it on our 15-minute time chart. So on our 15-minute time chart, what we're looking at here is we're saying, okay, on our 15-minute time chart, we're in an uptrend. It's been above this, above the the 15 mark on our RSI over here. So, but right now the stock is here. So when we see these areas of resistance here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, this is the nearest, the closest area of resistance, meaning the last area of resistance that they had. Because this one right here, it ended on August 8th. And this one right here, it's still the most current one that they have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a red line here on this one. And this is at price $34.25. I'm going to put a red line here to represent the line up with this area of resistance here. And I'm going to set up an alarm, right? And I'm going to basically say once the price has gone up and crossed this line, I want an alert to be sent to me, because if it closes above this area on a 15-minute time chart, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to buy it, because the stock is going to probably continue rising from there. Well, that means we're going to probably be in an all-out uptrend. Now here, where am I going to go ahead and do a sell? Well, how do I know we're going to continue in a downtrend? I'm going to look at our nearest area of support, which is here, this blue line right here on our 15-minute time chart. And I'm going to put another line here on this blue line, which is the area of support. And I'm going to change that color to blue. So right now, and I'm going to put an alarm to set up right here. All right. And this is why I said, just because we add something on our watch list doesn't mean we're going to be able to buy it first thing in the morning. So right now, the price of the stock is $32.58. That's where it closed. But but post market, it went up to $32.63. So let's say $32.63. That's the price. If it moves up and passes over $34.30, we're going to buy, meaning we're going to do a buy on a stock, or a call option saying that the stock is going to continue rising. And like I said, it can go all the way up to 43 once it breaks through this area. If the stock continues to come down and it passes past this area of support, right? Meaning this area of support, typically why they call it the area of support is the stock typically comes down, hits this area, and then it bounces back up. Like you see, it came down, it hit this area, then it bounced back up. We call this an area of resistance because it typically, you notice every time it hits that area where the red line is, it comes down. It hits that area and it comes down. So once it breaks through these areas, basically, if it breaks through above, sky's the limit. If it breaks through the bottom, then I don't know, I guess bottom is the limit. It can continue falling. So that's why we set these alarms here. So right in between here, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to buy. Yes, I could buy it here early if I think that the stock is going to go up. But what if the stock goes down? Then I'm going to lose a lot of money. If I do a put option here saying I believe the stock's going to go down, but then it goes up, I'm going to lose money. So why trade in this zone right here where we don't necessarily know exactly what's going to happen, right? We can, if we trade or buy the stock, the price in this area, we're essentially gambling. But we know that once it breaks through this area of support, resistance, sky's the limit. It can go up to 43 because we already identified that. And once it breaks below this point, let's see what the limits are. So now we're looking at this on a 15-minute time chart. Now we're going to go back to our daily time chart so we can kind of see what's, and look at this. You see what happened when we switched over to our daily time chart? We put these lines in on our 15-minute time chart. And without me even knowing that, but look, the line's perfectly lined up with the highest point for the day and the lowest possible point. So right now it's in the middle. So we know if it breaks through above here, it's going to probably ride. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and delete that. If it breaks through above this red line, we know that it's going to continue going all the way up to the next area of resistance, which could be up here off 46 on our daily time chart. And we know that if it breaks through this area of support, it can go down a lot more. But because we don't know what the bottom is, if it goes down to maybe about 28, 27, I'm going to go ahead and cash out, especially if I have a put option put in here on this one. Most definitely, we want to be out of this trade by September. By October, because that's when the earnings reports come out. So that's really far away. So we don't have to worry about that. And that's what this E is right over here. So we're not going to trade it in here. We're waiting for it to break through these two areas. Let's see how that looks on our 4-hour time chart. Okay, and let's see how that looks on our 1-hour time chart. Okay. So see, look at that. And you see, we put those lines in. You see how perfectly those lines line up over here. You see, it lines up perfectly no matter what time frame you look at it. So that's a really good trend line right there. And that's why I like to use areas of support and resistance. All right. So let's go over to the next. So we already have this one set up for tomorrow. So we may not have time during the live to kind of go through all of these as far as the different charts. Let me zoom that back out here and make this larger so you guys can see it who are on YouTube. Um, we may not have time to go through every single one of these that I have here on the side, but on my watch list, because I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11 of them. And I got to be out of here. Oh, we only got 10 minutes left. Wow. This is all right. I'll try to stay a few minutes extra just so we can kind of go over these and so you guys can see a couple more examples. The second stock that we have on my watch list is going to be stock symbol GLXY. Now, with this stock on our daily time chart, we always start with our daily time chart. We can clearly see that the stock is in an uptrend, right? And I'm going to go ahead and I did all of this stuff earlier. Um, so I'm not going to erase this just so you guys can kind of see where I got this set up. So now when you look at it on our daily time chart, green lines on top, moving averages on top, red lines at the bottom. That lets us know that we're in an uptrend, right? And you can see over here with our RSI, it's above the 50 mark. It came down to about close to the 50, but it's pointing back up. So that lets us know that we're in a clear uptrend here. Now let's go down to our lower time frames, which is like the 4-hour mark. On the 4-hour mark, you notice how they're starting to consolidate, right? You see the green line, the moving averages, and the red line. You notice they're starting to come closer together, like they're about to pretty much cross over pretty soon, right? So we got to keep an eye on that. So now let's look at it again on our lower time frame, which is maybe the 1-hour time frame. Now on our 1-hour time frame, and this is the reason why I drew these lines in here. On our 1-hour time frame, we can see that we are in what they call a sideways trend for the past, and this one started from July 29th. We've really been in a sideways trend since July. All right. And let me show you what I mean by that. So let's zoom this up and make this a little bit bigger. So since July, so what is that? July 29th, you can see where the stock has, it's gone up, hit this area of resistance, this zone right here, this red line, and it came down, hit the blue line over here, which is the area of support, bounce back up, come back down, and it's staying right here in this sideways trend, right? And so for those of you who are wondering, why did I put this red, because this red box over here and this blue box, I drew them in. You're always going to hear me say area or zone. Like, so this is like an area of resistance, area of support. Area of support meaning the blue line, the bottom. The blue line is where it hits and it bounces back up. Red line's where it hit and comes back down. Because it's not a straight line. Even though you see a line here, it's always a zone. So it's not just one line, but it's a zone. Okay. So now when we go down to our lower time frame, which is like the 30-minute time frame, you get to see why I drew the area of support here. So you see this is the lowest area. This is the lowest blue line that we have here. This one is in the middle, right? And this one is at the top. So this is why that line, that box is there. So I know that this is the zone. So even though it may pass this blue line here, as long as it doesn't break below this line, there's a chance that it's going to hit it and it's going to bounce back up. Same thing with here. This is our lowest red line area of resistance, and this is the highest area on our 30-minute time chart, right? So once it hits, it can go as high as here, but once it hits this high point, it can come back down. So we're waiting for it to break out of this zone. That's why we call it a sideways trend. Look at that. It's just going sideways because it's just stuck in the box. Now, when we go onto our 15-minute time frame, let's see if we can get a better look. So now you see this is the top area right here of that zone. And this is the bottom area. So right now the stock price is right here in the middle. So what we're waiting for is we're waiting for it to break through this area because it can come down and it can break through this area, or it can go up and it can break through this area, or it can just continue going sideways. But what we're waiting on is the breakthrough. Okay, well, that's what we're really trying to find. We're trying to find a breakthrough. And on our 15-minute time frame, you notice the green line's on top, but it's pointing down now, and the red line is look like it's about to consolidate. So it looked like it may continue coming down. And if you look at our RSI over here, it's well below the red line, which is the 50. So that lets us know we're in a downtrend. So tomorrow we're going to keep an eye on this and see if it continues with a downtrend. And if it's a strong enough downtrend, it's going to break through this area of support. If it turns into an uptrend tomorrow, we're going to wait for it to break through and then we buy it up here saying that the stock's going up, or we put an option put saying that the stock's going down. So we have our alerts already set up on this area right over here. All right. Now, I am not a swing trader or a day trader. A swing trader, this would be a swing trader's dream, because what they're going to do is they're going to put a short here for the stock to come down. When the stock come down, they do a buy, and then they'll try to buy it again and keep. So they would a short-term trader or a swing trader would make money here. They'll say, hey, the stock's going to go down. When it hits this area, they'll make money. When the stock goes down to here, they'll buy it and wait for the stock to go up. Once it hits this area, they'll sell. And those are what swing traders do. So swing traders, they make multiple trades, right? So if you were a swing trader, this is like a dream setup for you. But here is the problem why I am not a swing trader. One, I don't live off the money that I make on trading. Like, I don't use it as money to pay my daily bills or necessities. These are like somewhat of long-term investments for me. And swing trading could be extremely risky. So a swing trader right now, I guarantee you, a swing trader who's probably in a trade like this, they sold here, and when it hit here, they bought, they sold, bought, sold, bought, sold, bought. Now they've probably made a couple $100 profits or a couple $1,000, depending on how much money they put in. But what's going to happen is when that stock goes through and it breaks, or if that stock goes in the opposite direction and it breaks through, especially if they do a short, they're asked out. All right. Excuse my French, because when a stock it's hard to push a stock up so the stock could make money. It's hard to push a stock up, but when a stock starts to fall, everybody panics and everybody starts selling. So when a stock if you buy a stock saying the stock is going to go up and then the stock breaks through this area of support, that stock is really going to tumble. It's really going to go down, and it's going to go down really quickly. It can go down really quickly. This is why I'm not a big fan of swing trading. You'll hear a lot of people say, well, I made money in the first 15 minutes of trading or whatever the case may be, and they talk about how much trades they did and how much money they make. Yeah, there's a lot of money to be made, but there's a lot of risks in there too. So it all depends on your risk tolerance. And yeah, there are some times when I do take advantage of stuff like this, but I don't necessarily. It's not something that I kind of like do on a daily basis. Yeah. So we have our area. We have our potential buy short here. We have a potential buy here. So that's one other stock that we're looking at now. Another stock that we have, what time is it right now? Okay, so it's 7:57. I'll try to stay on here until 8:10. All right, so another stock that we have here is going to be stock symbol GTLB. All right, GTLB. Now, with this particular stock over here, let's go back to our daily time frame. So on our daily time frame, let's see here the stock, and let's bring this down here. All right, so you guys can see this. All right, let's see. When is our earnings reports coming out? Earnings reports coming all the way September 9th, so we don't got to worry about anything. Now, this stock over here, I don't like to trade stocks like this, and I kind of added this one here to the list just so you guys can see. This is like a stock that you really don't want to trade. When you see a lot of big gaps, like how you have these big gaps here, big gaps between prices, like where it just falls dramatically or it goes up dramatically, there's a lot of volatility. So when you hear people talk about volatility is not necessarily a good thing. Okay. You hear volatility, you think, oh, there's a lot of action, there's a lot of things going on. But what that basically means when you hear them say volatility is, look at this. Let's take a look at this chart, for example. We have our moving averages here, right? Red lines at the top pointing straight down, green lines at the bottom pointing straight down. So that lets you know you're in a clear downtrend, right? And as you can see, stock price dramatically drops, right? And you don't even see you don't see like a gradual coming together of the two moving averages. But right here, you see like these big gaps, these big jumps, and the stock just goes from here, it jumps up here, and then it jumps all the way up here. And there's a sharp turnaround on our moving averages. That's what the volatility is. And then as quickly as it went up, right, it just drops again. So this is the type of stocks that you want to stay away from. These are stocks where something's happening, and we always hear me talk about fundamentals. So your chart is what we're doing right now when we're looking at our support, our areas of resistance, we're looking at the chart, our moving averages, we're looking at RSI. we're doing what they call technical analysis, meaning we're breaking down the stock, we're breaking down all these indicators, and we're trying to figure out what direction the stock is going in and when we should buy. Fundamental analysis is basically anything that's happening within the company, news, gossip, or anything that's happened geopolitically that can truly and really affect the stock. So let's say, for example, right now, I don't have time to really look into this particular stock, but let's say this was a retail stock, right? Um, Stuff like this would typically happen with the mentionings of tariffs. So if there's a company like Walmart or Target and they're buying a lot of merchandise from China and different things like that, now we have implemented a 50% tariffs, their price, there's going to be a lot of volatility because, even though their stock, all the technicals may show that the stock, the company is doing good, they're making a lot of money, but all of a sudden that news comes out, professional investors, institutional investors, they're looking down the road and they're like, hey, you know what? We know once these tariffs come out, the price of goods are going to go up and it's going to cost. And they either have to raise their prices. And if Walmart and Target have to raise their prices, less people are going to buy, right? So of course they're going to start selling off the stock, so the retail stock is going to drop. And then once Trump says, or once the current administration says, hey, we worked out a deal with China, there's no more tariffs, the stock price is going to go back up. So that's what they call volatility, and that's what they call fundamental analysis. Fundamental analysis is when you're not looking at what we're looking at on the chart, but they're paying attention to what's happening in the news, they're paying attention to the gossiping, they're paying attention to what's happening geopolitically between our president and between our government and the Chinese government or other governments all over the world. That's what they call the fundamental analysis. This is why I say anybody who wants to trade stocks, not only do you have to be aware of how to read the charts, but you also have to be aware of what's going on in the world, because those things do affect the charts as well. That's why I kind of added this one in here, just so I can kind of show you some stocks that you don't want to buy. And no matter how much you knew about a stock, if you look at this particular stock history over here, you just notice, look at all these big gaps here, right? So that just lets you know, like, there's a lot of volatility, a lot of instability going on with this stock. It's all over the place. So you don't want to touch stocks like that. No matter how good of a trader you are, just stay away from that, especially if you're a brand new trader. All right, next stock that we're going to be looking at. All right, so we got about 8 more minutes before I got to get off of here. All right, next stock we're going to be looking at the stock symbol METC. All right, so with this particular stock here, we're looking at it on a daily time chart. Let's bring that down. We can see that we're clearly in an uptrend. Green lines on top as far as moving averages pointing straight up. Red lines at the bottom, and it's pointing straight up. And from here, you would say, okay, and then if you look at our RSI, look at that. The RSI, the purple line, it just bounced off off here around the 50 mark, and it's pointing up, letting us know that we're possibly in an uptrend. We just had our earnings report that came out on, what is that, July. The earnings report came out July 31st. And the earnings report were not that great. Okay, so here we can see this red line over here. That lets us know that's our high. That's our area of resistance, right? So the price right now is about $23.49, and the highest that it's been has been $24.79. So this is where our area of resistance is. It looks like the stock is going to be going up, at least on our daily time chart. So let's go down to our 2-hour time chart. On our 2-hour time chart, the price, look at that. Our moving averages, it's already kind of crossed over. Our moving averages, look how this look. Green lines on top, but this is just the beginning of a moving average of a uptrend. And there's a big gap here. This is that gap that we talked about, right? So this is a gap. So the stock price was all the way up here. And then it just on the 5th of August, and then it just dropped. And now it's moving back up to this area of resistance. If it breaks through this area of resistance, I'm going to buy, right? If it breaks below this area right here, which is this area of support, then I'm going to do an options put, right? But look at that big gap that we have in between. Now we can be in a good sideways trend, because as you can see here, it actually hit the 24. It came back down, and then it's going back up. Now here is where, if I won't say a betting man, but if we're going to look at this on a lower time frames. But if it hits this area and then it does a pullback, I would most definitely probably do a short options put, and I would probably sell it around $22, $21 before it actually hits this area of support over here. All right, but that's a little bit more of a technical trades. So when I do these videos, you won't hear me talk about a lot of these really technical, like these difficult trades, because when I do these videos, I do them more for brand new traders, and I don't want to show you things that are too complicated and scare you guys off. But when I do my own personal trading, when the market opens up, those are certain trades that I will take, but I wouldn't necessarily explain them to you guys because I don't want to scare off brand new people who are brand new to trading. I just want to show you like entry level things, beginner things that you guys will feel comfortable doing. Let's look at it on the lower time frame, which is going to be a 30-minute time chart, right? So on our 30-minute time chart, okay, let's delete that one. And on our 30-minute time chart, you can see why I put this red box here, right? So on our 30-minute time chart, this is our highest level of the area resistance. This is our lower level. And so I know that even though the price is here, as long as it doesn't break through above here, there's a chance that there could be a pullback and it can continue, it can drop again. But if it breaks above this, then I can buy the stock to say, okay, the stock's going to continue going higher. All right. Now, before I go over to the next one, I just want to do a quick plug. I have to do a plug, guys. All right. So this is my course that's available on Udemy. And like I said, I'm not an influencer. I'm more of an educator. So I teach a lot of people on how to trade. I have over 800 students on my course. As you can see, my course, which is Stock Trading Simple Beginner Guide, highest rated stock trading course that there is on Udemy. That's why I'm up here. This course is extremely good as well. This is somebody that I would really recommend. If you don't take my course, I always tell people, at least take some course that's available on Udemy or Skillshare or somewhere else where you can learn how to trade, because you'll hear a lot of us traders say, for the first 4 to 5 years when we were trading, we lost a lot of money. It's because we were learning on our own. We just went on YouTube, or we heard from our friends, or we just signed up with Robinhood. And a lot of us, we just started trading without necessarily knowing what we were doing. So there was a big learning curve for like where the first 4 or 5 years we lost money. And every trader went through that, because before Udemy or Skillshare, there really wasn't anywhere else you can really learn how to trade, except for if you go to like a college or a special course like that. But here on Udemy, there's a lot of great courses. So even if you don't take my course, I recommend that you go on there and take some other courses that teach you how to trade stocks. The only difference between every instructor's course on how to learn stocks and my course is the fact that when you sign up to my course, within 24 hours of signing up, I send you my WhatsApp number, email, as well as my YouTube link, where you can reach out directly to me and request personal one-on-one classes after you watch all the videos on Udemy. And that's at no extra charge. You also get access to my private live that I'm going to be doing later on today at about 8:15, where all my students will be able to come on and they'll be able to ask me questions in regards to different stocks, styles of trading and different things like that. These short videos that I do here is just to kind of, put myself out here so you guys can, probably join our community or whatever the case may be. But I just wanted to put that quick plug in before I do this last one over here. So the last one I'm going to be doing is going to be stock symbol ON. Stock symbol ON. Let's take a look here. Let's go on our daily time chart. Okay, so on our daily time chart over here, let's see, let's wait for that to load. I love doing this stuff live, people. All right. Okay. Yep. Let's go ahead and hit a reload on this one. And boom. All right. So I guess we won't be doing another one. Okay. I guess we won't be doing another one, or will we? Depends on how fast this thing loads up over here. All right. We got a lot of computers running over here at the office. And nope. So I guess we won't be doing another one. All right, so that'll be it for today. And tomorrow I will, I'll try to put in a couple short videos for any trades that I do tomorrow. Like I said, I don't necessarily make money off of YouTube or TikTok when I post stuff. That's why I don't post as many videos. But tomorrow, once I do a trade, I will try to post a quick short video so you guys can see whatever, if I jump into any of the trades for the, stocks from my watch list that I showed earlier today. I'll try to post it up there. But if you guys are really interested in learning how to trade, you can also go back to YouTube and watch some of my previous live videos. They're all listed there, so you can see some of the trades that I made and get some of the updates, because I will be updating you tomorrow on the live in regards to any trades that I make today. Guys, have an awesome one. Thank you, and I will see you